Hey guys, good to be with you. 1 Thessalonians chapter 1 from verse 7 through to verse 10 talks about the three characteristics of a Christian. The first aspect that we've been talking about according to this passage is that a believer, a true believer, is one who has turned. Yesterday we spoke about what that meant, and we spoke about some people think that you turn into something is kind of like a magical thing when you become a believer. We know that's not true. We know we have to turn away from sin. We know we have to turn aside from the things of the world. There's a whole bunch of turning that needs to take place. But ultimately we said to turn away from a failed life and a messed up past, we need to turn to God, return as the prodigal did. Now, when we have turned, there is an aspect of turning that I think is quite important. Truth changes. You see, while you're on your own little journey, truth is relative, and you can have a soft kind of truth. You can listen to Oprah, and you can have a soft truth about eating yourself thin. According to her, that's a truth that you can live according to. Some of them would say, you can 5 ways to personal happiness, 7 ways to financial success, and these are all soft truths that are relative and irrelevant sometimes to our Christian faith. There might be some good stuff in there. I don't want to take away completely from that. But the Bible is full of a hard truth principle. And the hard truth suggests a couple of hard things in order to do. Put the soft stuff aside and face a couple of hard truths. The first hard truth is that we're all sinners, destined for a Christless eternity. That's a tough truth for people to take and to accept. But we need to understand the place of hard truth. It's like that pendulum we spoke about, where we can manipulate truth, that we can make it sway backwards and forwards. But ultimately, the end of the day, leave that pendulum swinging, and ultimately it comes back to where it started. It's called ultimate truth. It's called God's truth. And very often, these are some of the hard truths that we need to apply into our lives. Now, when we talk about some of the hard truths, I think of the response of people when you talk about hard truths. Now, I get to preach a bit, and I get to stand in front of people and I begin to talk about truth. And sometimes some of those relative truths are fun to talk about, and I love talking about some of those basic principles. But the hard truths, when you start talking hard truths, you can see the shutters coming down on people's eyes. Well, I'm talking to you about the 7 principles of success or the 5 principles of happy life. Everybody's thinking, hey, that's what I want. But as soon as we start talking about the hard truths of sin and turning from sin to return to God, boom, those shutters close. And I guess it's like if you've ever been on an airplane, and you get on the plane, you sit down in your seat, and the air hostess comes around, make sure that the armrest is down, that the windows, blinds are all up, or whatever it is, and that your seat is upright. And then she stands there with a whole bunch of stuff, and she begins to tell you some hard truths. She says, in the event of us going to cream into the water, you need to do the following thing. And I'm looking around saying, I think we better listen to this. I think we better listen to it. This is a hard truth. Tell me what to do if the plane is about to crash into the mountain. Tell me what I need to do. And we're listening to these truths as people speak, as people are told these hard truths by the air hostess about, the oxygen's going to come down from the roof, and put your mask on first, and then help the people around you. And then just before we're about to cream in and hit the water, put your head between your knees and prepare yourself for the, and she's telling you a whole bunch of hard truths over here. And I'm looking around, and there's the teenager checking out the chicks around. There's the executive reading his Financial Times. There's the mom fussing over her kids. There's the old lady who's gone to sleep in the chair already, and I'm looking, but people, these are hard truths here. Don't ignore them. Don't ignore the hard truths. If you do so, you do it so at your peril. So the hard truths are the ones that we need to understand so that we know what we're turning from and what we're turning to. Not what we're turning into. You're still going to be the same person, There's no miraculous transformation physically, but there is a slow regeneration of yourself. As yourself dies to itself, you take on the mind of Christ, and you begin to transform by the renewing of your mind. I guess, people, that's the long and the short of our Christian experience. It begins with responding to a few hard truths. I hope that as we've spoken about these things that you say, yep, Trip, done that. If you haven't, people, maybe you need to do that and say to God, man, that's a tough truth. You mean I have to turn from myself? I have to, turn from my wicked ways and turn to you? Yep, afraid you do. And it's the most glorious thing that you could ever possibly do. So let's talk about turning in order to return to our Father who loves us. And then there'll be continually times in your life where as truth confronts you, you're going to have to choose. Do I want to go the soft truth way? Or am I willing to man up and take the hard truths on the chin to fulfill the purpose of God to become more like Jesus? They're beautiful truths. They're wonderful truths. But they are truths that ultimately come from the throne room of God. They don't come as a truth that has come by a democratic vote. God doesn't put these things out for us to vote on. God is the ultimate truth. What he says goes. I guess in a cliche way, it's his way or the highway. There's no other way to God than his way. For some people, that's a hard truth, but I pray for them that they will get it, accept it, and do what they need to do. Let's talk about the hard truths of our faith. Have a great day. We'll talk some more tomorrow. Bye-bye.